Have you looked at the cost of the decks on the meta nowadays? The decks cost in average 600 to 800 UR dust and about 400 to 600 SR dust. All those meta decks have something in common. They all have engines that allows them to always refresh and recycle their monsters to invoke better monsters and always have an answer on the field. Well, today I will bypass those answers by presenting to you guys a weird engine that is vampires. I was looking for the cheapest engine that works in the game and I found this. Vampires is an old archetype that is forgotten in the TCG and the OCG because they don't release anything new for quite a while. But its engine only uses 2 SRs, so that's the cheapest you can find to recycle your monsters and still have a working engine. This deck is very simple. You have Gozuki and you have Samurai Skull. They are both your openers. What the opener do? It starts your combo. So with Samurai Skull or Gozuki, you will send a card from your deck to your graveyard, and that's essential when we are talking about vampires that are basically zombies. The cards you will be sending to the graveyard will be Vampire Familiar and Vampire Retainer. Vampire Familiar is a rare that you can summon from your graveyard, discarding 1 vampire card from your hand, and you can access your deck and grab 1 vampire from your deck to your hand when you pay 500 life points when summoned. Vampire Retainer does the same but with trap cards. So with Vampire Retainer you can access your trap cards and your spell cards and put them to your hand depending on what you need. That is the basic engine. You summon Gozuki or Sam Skull and you send 1 card to the graveyard, either Retainer or Familiar, and you get 3 monsters on the field on first turn. But your extra deck is not that important. What is important is these 3 cards: Vampire Duke, Vampire Red Baron, and Vampire Vamp. Those cards can suck your opponent's cards and steal them to your side of the field, so their firepower is your firepower. Closely, I have some URs in my deck, but you can just remove them, make the deck running, and you can run whatever you want. I chose Ash Blossom that I already have, and you can just slap some things in it just to make your deck balanced, because I'm not gonna lie to you, you ain't getting anywhere with only rares and commons. But the engine only runs with 2 SRs. And in the gameplay I showed you, I didn't even use any of the SRs or URs. For the spells, the most important thing is Vampire Desire that will help you with your consistency. That sends 1 vampire to the graveyard so you can get your combo going if you draw that. Vampire Domain, I'm using 3 of them because they allow you to do 2 summons per turn, one of them being a vampire summon, so you can just summon one of those big guys in the second turn and steal their monsters. I'm using a Icon just to control the match, and if I need to steal their monsters even more I can. I'm using Vampire Takeover that will special summon from the graveyard and put 1 Vampire Kingdom on the field, and the other traps are optional. Your extra deck is also optional. So that's what I'm running. I will show 2 replays. One of them will be the engine working in single player, and the other one the deck working in ladder. So this is how the engine works. You first open with Sam Skull and you send whatever you don't have in your hands to your graveyard, either Retainer or Familiar. In this case I will send Familiar. After Familiar is in the graveyard, I activate his effect, send him to the field, and send Retainer to the graveyard. To send Retainer to the field, I need to send another vampire card to the graveyard so I can draw right now, or I can just get rid of other ones I have. I chose Baron to be my pick because I can be aggressive, and that's how you get 3 monsters on the field. I also send Vampire Domain to the field that allow me to do another summon, so if I want to summon my Red Baron, I can, but I won't. And I also have the access to my extra deck with whatever you have in there. So that's basically the gist of it. And with all that said, let's hop into the ladder to the real replay. Alright, so in this replay I was matched against a Dark Magician deck. Low ladder is tough because there's a lot of stall decks and a lot of nonsense running around, so it's hard to find a good footage, but this will have to do. I started with a not very good hand, but I got saved by my first draw. That was really a savior. He didn't do much on the first turn as well, counting that I wouldn't do much as well. His monster summons a Dark Magician, so I would just skip my combo. And now that he put Maxi on the field, I can't do much summons because I don't want him to fill his hand. But even so, I will summon the Retainer to the field, and I will grab something and let my next turn Retainer on the cemetery. Now he whiffed his Dark Magician, that is great for me because I would just suck them. I would just steal him for me. So since he whiffed, I would just keep up. He draw a card. I got the field spell. I activated my card that allows me to summon again. I summon Red Baron and my field spell that will allow me to do more damage to his Dark Magicians if needed. I switched my cards with him with my Red Baron skill, and I wiped his field out. And I'm the Dark Magician monster, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. Now is his turn. I don't know what he can do much because I don't know the Dark Magician deck too well, but he used Monster Reborn. Since I didn't kill his Dark Magician, he didn't have many options, and he will summon his Dark Magician tag card again. He's following up with his turn, so I'm just waiting. It's the battle phase. I will just put his monster in defense position and protect my Dark Magician, and I control this turn. Now on his monster activated his effect and summon another Dark Magician, what is great for me because it's another monster I can snatch. So remember that Retainer I left in the graveyard, so yeah, that will be useful now. I will summon him to the field, I will sacrifice my spell, I use my Red Baron, and I will steal another of his Dark Magicians. And that's game, everyone, and that's how she wrote for this dude. And this deck is great for low level. The engine works. I didn't show much of the engine because I was restricted on my actions because of Max C, but it's a good idea on how it works. So thank you for watching. Later, man.